Hello, welcome back. Today's gonna be different. It's gonna be kind of a catch-up day because a lot of times I'll do something in a video and it's gonna take some time and I don't always get back to it and report back to you. So I wanna do some of that today. I've been asked to show how I do a few things, so I'm gonna do a number of things today, and I hope you follow along and that you can get something from it. And if you're new to my channel, please go down below and hit that subscribe button, and be sure and click on the notification bell and make sure it says all videos. I am hearing and seeing that a lot of my subscribers are not getting notifications on all my videos. So you might want to check that out because that could be what's wrong. So I'll just kind of jump in and start showing you some of the things that I have been doing that have finished while I've been busy with life and you haven't seen the results. So number one is going to be that stinging nettle tincture that I made. Now, I had done a lot of research and it talked about how it is a natural type of antihistamine and it will help with allergies. I have allergies year-round, and a lot of that is because of our blowing dust. It's dry, the pollen gets on the ground, it blows in dust, and so any time of year I can have my allergies attack. So I did get the stinging nettle tincture made, and that was using vodka as the medium to extract all the good properties out of the stinging nettle. And I started this on January 16th of this year. And the instructions that I read were very clear. 5 weeks was ideal. 6 weeks, you need to get it strained and no longer extracting into the vodka. So I started it on January 16th and I strained this on February 25th. And I had a mark on here to strain by February 27th. So right at that end date. I will tell you, while I was waiting for this, I made the tea a few times and used it because I was having some really bad allergy attacks. And it worked. Now, it would work for, I'd say 4 to 5 hours, and then I'd need to make more tea. So it did help when nothing else I was doing was helping. The tea was helping for a time. So I know that when I have this problem, I need to take the tincture probably every 4 hours. And so for me, it did help. It is something that you'll have to take several times throughout the day to keep that working on you while you're having the allergies. So that's my follow-up, and I have it, again, I kept it in this purple ball jar. And these were given to me, so I'm just fortunate because I don't know where you'd buy them right now. You'd have to really search because you have to search for all jars now. But I did have the purple jars, and they are perfect because they keep the light filtered, and I keep this in a cool place and it should last a while. And speaking of colored jars, I bought these several years ago and I've never used them. In fact, I just rediscovered them in my garage where I keep my empty jars. And these are amber half-gallon ball jars. And they filter out, I think it's a 97% of UV light. Okay, I had to go get the package so I could tell you the truth. These block 99% of harmful UV rays. So anything that you want to keep the light from degrading your food or whatever it's in there, these would be really good. Again, you'd have to search for them because right now everything's hard to find. But if you do see these, this is a really good option. The biggest enemies of food storage are going to be light and moisture, and you need to keep it at a steady temperature. My extended pantry is about as steady a temperature I can get in my house because we're off grid. We don't have air conditioning. We don't have central anything. So that's probably the best room in my entire house for keeping an even temperature. And right now it's very cool in there. In fact, if I need to go and do much of anything in there, I'm going to wear a sweater because it gets chilly. So, but food storage, you want to keep it darker, dry, and you want to, well, for dry goods. And you want to also even temperature, as even as you can get. Some people store it in their garage in the heat, and that's what they have, and it will work. You won't have quite as much nutrition as time passes, but it will still be safe for your food. At least that's what I believe. So anyway, be on the lookout for purple or amber ball jars because they're very dark colored and they keep the light out. So my next one, this was an experiment. Last fall, a neighbor gave me a lot of his wife's jars and lids that she had for canning. After she passed away, he gave me all of those things. And I'm talking, these are old lids. And the jars are too, but that's, those are fine. But we're talking old lids. And these were 43 cents. So they're really, really, really old lids. I tried to search and see how old, and I couldn't find it. So if somebody knows when, this is a regular size, but I have both regular and wide mouth. If somebody knows when these were 43 cents, please let me know because I'm really interested. And this is what they look like. So these are Kerr, that way. And this is what the sealant looks like, okay? It's gray and pretty thick, and so is the lid. The lid is much thicker than new lids. But the sealant does not look dried out. I can't see anything wrong with it. So I thought, I have boxes of these lids, and I don't want to just throw them out. I could use them only for dry storage, but I thought, I'm going to test it. And so I did. I put this in a water bath canner filled with water when I was canning something last fall, back middle of September. So I decided, okay, I have an empty spot. I'm gonna can a jar of water using one of these old lids. This is March 7th. And I'm holding that by the rim. I check this about once every month or two when I think about it. But honestly, this has a really good seal on it. And that's an old lid. So if you come across these old lids, I would say test it. I'm going to use these old lids because honestly, this is a really good seal. This has been almost 6 months and no sign of loosening. And I've got it just by the edge of the lid. And it's in an old jar too, old cur jar. So something to think about. I would look at these closely because if they've been stored out in the garage or barn or something like that, the sealant might be dry and cracked, or but these aren't. I'm going to be using them. And I probably have 15 to 20 boxes of regular size and probably 10 to 15 wide mouth. So I have lots of these old lids. So that's just kind of an update and hopefully of interest to someone out there. And I keep it over here because then I keep checking on it, make sure that it's staying good. I just recently did a video about my Azure Standard haul this month. And I had a comment because I mentioned that I store it in my own containers because I can buy it in bulk from them, whatever it is, and I get good quality. Almost always it's organic, what I buy, and I get it in a paper bag. So I need to store this in something for longer term. And I had the question, well, we'd like to see how you store it. And honestly, it's pretty simple. These are raw sunflower seeds. Now, I bought raw for a reason because I'm going to make sunflower nut butter. I also bought these 1 gallon jars from Azure Standard. It was a box of 4 and they come without lids. Now this is not your normal wide mouth, this is larger. You have to buy the lids separately from them, but together for 4 lids and 4 jars, it was about $21 and some change. Not bad because I know that I have bought them off of Amazon for a higher price higher per jar price. So these 4 jars, and those came with plastic lids. These come with a metal lid with it's not a gasket, but it's got the medium to help seal it. So it's good for food storage, dry storage. It's not something I'm going to use for long-term storage because I can't vacuum seal it. I don't have the equipment for something this large. But it's good for things like rice and beans, nuts, if you use them quickly. Now, if they're long-term, that's different. The sunflower butter will be used to make something in keto, and I'll hopefully do a recipe on that soon. But something like this that is going to be used in short to medium term and does not have to be vacuum sealed. I can store it in these gallon jars and it'll keep really well, especially again, anything like this is going to go in my cool pantry so that the cooler temperature and the dark will help it stay good. So I'm just going to pour, and this is a 5-pound bag of raw sunflower seeds without the hull, without the shell. Shake it to settle it. And it's just going to fit. So that, and put the lid on. And what I usually do with Azure Standard is I carefully peel the label off. And it's still pretty sticky. But then I will just go back and I'll try and show you because you're down there. And it's not straight because I'm not looking at it. What I'll do is just smooth the label down as best I can. So it's really easy to see what it is. And then, especially on these gallon jars where I know I have the room, I'm going to peel off the back label also with all of the nutrition and any kind of other information. In this case, it has sprouting instructions, so if you want to sprout these, which I'm probably going to do that too. Because these are raw and organic, I can use these for sprouts, and that's pretty nice. So now I've got my sunflower seeds in the jar, both labels attached, and this will go in my pantry. And easy to take out what I need and keep the rest in the pantry. Now I also have things that I buy from Azure Standard that I want to vacuum seal, both for long-term storage, but also they just don't store as well. So I'm going to use half-gallon jars, and these will fit on my vacuum sealer attachment. And if you don't have one of these, you need to get one. They are wonderful. So what I have here is the whole milk powder that I bought. And I do like the whole milk powder. If I'm going to use milk, unless it has a good reason to use non-fat, I'm going to use whole milk. So this is a 5-pound bag of whole milk powder. And I know it's going to take more than 1 half-gallon. It may take more than 2, and that's okay. And I think I need to take some of this out. Now, because this is a powder, if I just tried to put the lid on like this and close it up, it's probably not going to seal because it will pull the powder up into it. So I like to use coffee filters. This one is for a percolator and it's a flat one, but you can, any type of coffee filter, you can make it work. The whole idea is to make it bigger than your opening and really press it down so that there's contact on the sides as much as you can. because we're trying to keep that powder from being sucked up into the rim and the lid. And for that reason, we're also just really going to make sure that there's none on that rim. There's some on the side there, and I want to just get that down. And then put on the lid. And I'm going to use a new lid. These are Sure-Tight lids, and I don't can with those much because I have not had the best luck, and I have other lids that I use all the time and they do work. So you want to get that on there centered, and then press the vacuum sealer attachment on there. Now you can use your food saver. I have a Weston that I use for vacuum sealing, but you know what, that thing is huge, and I don't get it out unless I have several things to do. So I have a brake bleeder, and this is an idea I got from Heidi at Rain Country, and you need to check her out because she's got all kinds of ideas like that. But I found if I brace it on the countertop and then pump it up, it's easier for me in my hands, because I'm getting to the point where I have issues with my hands. But you just want to pump this until the needle no longer moves. And it probably won't take too long for this, just because this powder is fairly well packed in there. I didn't pack it down, but there's not a lot of air space. And that's my dog Buster, who's bored and wants to be outside. Okay, it stopped moving. So let's take this off and test the seal. It's sealed. So I do keep the ring on there fairly snug, and I will label it and date it. And this will keep my whole milk powder much longer and fresher than leaving it in the bag. The same can be said for boxes that you buy, whatever you have. But that's how I store things like that need to have a little more protection. Really should be vacuum sealed. And it just depends. If it's a quart, I'll use a quart jar. If it's a pint, pint. But for a 5-pound bag, my guess, it's gonna take full gallon, which is the 2 half-gallon jars that I'm able to vacuum seal. I will be making a video soon, making a tincture out of the burdock root, and I've got a video on that one, and it's really interesting, all of the herbal health benefits that burdock root has, whether you prepare it as a food or a tincture or tea or however you want to prepare it. It's a very interesting root, and I think it's one that everybody should check out. I did give some to my friend. She did not eat them yet because she wanted to ask her doctor because of her cancer. And the minute she said root, they knew exactly what she was talking about. In her case, they have asked her to wait to even eat it as a food until they check her blood levels, because she's on blood thinners for her heart. And the doctor said it could be a blood thinner. So they have asked her to wait, and she's going to be talking to them this week about it and see if it can be worked into her treatment. But she does have health issues besides the cancer. She does have heart issues, so anytime they're doing that, you always check with your doctor. You always make sure it's not going to interfere with other medication. And she did that, and it is the right thing. But I said, you know what? It'll keep a little bit longer. Find out what your doctor says first, and don't take it until you know that. And she's got good doctors that understand her desire to use natural remedies when possible. So they'll work on that, and that's fine with me. I just want to see her healthy. I also, I found out about this week, and I woke up one morning and saw a video, and I watched it, and it broke my heart. Heather Conn at the Kneady Homesteader was one of the early channels I watched. There were a number of them, and a lot of them I don't see making videos anymore. But she was one of them, and she was inspiring. I learned from her. And if you're not aware, her family was in a horrible, horrible accident right around the day before Valentine's Day, I believe. And she was injured badly, very badly. And her two young children were injured. And unfortunately, her husband passed away, and it was immediate. It was a head-on collision by a drunk driver. And if you watch me at all, you know I do use alcohol in my recipes, and we do drink some wine, and Brian makes his beer. I will tell you, we don't go anywhere. We stay home. So if you do cook with it, even though most will cook out, not all of it does. If you drink, please don't drive. It was heartbreaking to hear this story. So my prayers go out to Heather and all of her family, her older children and other family members are helping take care of the younger ones while Heather cannot do it. Please, if you're a person of faith, please pray. There is a GoFundMe link, and if you are led to help in that way, I'll put the link below. There's also an address that a friend set up to send cards or small gifts for her children, but again, it's if you're led to do that, and I will put that address below also. But please, in my world, prayer's the best thing you can do, and she is in our prayers. So that just broke my heart. She lost so much in a matter of minutes. I'm gonna now show you some fun stuff because Brian and I celebrated our 36th wedding anniversary last week, and I made a nice dinner here, but he wanted to go out somewhere, so we went yesterday afternoon, Saturday, into town, and we went to a Churrascaria. Now, I had heard him talk about him many times because Brian traveled extensively for business. And he spent one whole month in Brazil back in, I think it was 2008, maybe 2009. And while he was there, he got introduced to Churrascarias, I think is how you pronounce it. And basically it's a Brazilian steakhouse, and it started out with the cowboys in Brazil that would put huge pieces of meat on a spit and cook it over open flames. And it is served rodizio style. I learned all kinds of words. Rodizio style at the restaurant. And basically you have roving waiters walking around with huge pieces of meat, look like swords, holding it, and a knife. And they come to your table and slice off what you want right to your plate. And it was amazing. So I took a few pictures of that for y'all, and if you have one near you, it wasn't inexpensive, but it was really nice for a special occasion, and the food was so good and the service was amazing. So I just kind of encourage you to check that out if you ever have the opportunity. And so I'm gonna leave you with that. So thank you for watching. Again, if you enjoyed this, please subscribe, hit the notification bell. God bless. We'll talk soon, and enjoy these pictures.